You color code them.
Okay.
Come on.
In the red one, we're putting acid vials. In the green one, we put health potions. Shouldn't we?
Just remember,
that?
guys, opposites. I'll remember.
Iceland, Greenland. What?
Welcome to Monsters and Multiclass, your weekly Dungeons and Dragons fix. I'm Kevin Odie.
Jared Bornagle.
And I'm Will Milden.
And today we're actually coming at you with a special bonus episode focused all on that brand new class, the Artificer. So pull up a chair and listen up.
All right, so today we are going to go through the very recently released Unearthed Arcana Artificer. So Unearthed Arcana, if you're somehow not familiar, is something that the Wizards of the Coast will release, basically playtesting new ideas that they've been working on. So the Artificer has been long sought after. They released something back in, I believe, 2017 that we actually did some playtesting on. But now we've got a brand new class. It's very different, and we're just gonna jump right into it. So right out the gate, how we normally start, just some first thoughts. Anything right out the gate, Kevin?
I love the flavor of it. I think they did a really good job of mixing the kind of flavor, the fluff of what makes the Artificer with the mechanics.
So
that works.
What to you makes the Artificer the Artificer?
Well, it almost feels a little more sci-fi than. I mean, it's clearly magic-based. It gets spells and all that, but it's around building mechanical things to replicate these spell effects, being able to make and use magic items better. I think it all just kind of combines really well to a really cool, flavorful class.
Yeah. Will?
So, yeah, like what Kevin was saying, this I think the best thing they did with this new update is they really focus on how and why the Artificer is, as opposed to the previous playtest material, where it quite literally, a lot of the mechanics where you pull something out of a bag.
Yeah.
That was kind of a cop-out. This one does a lot more work to say, this is how the Artificer casts. This is how they operate with magic. And I think that they did a great job with that.
Yeah, and I think one of the first things they did to ensure that was making it so it was necessary to be proficient in a specific tool set, and really making that the focus of how they do most of their work. And it's even put there that when you're casting spells, it's not the same as a wizard who's studying a book and copying tomes. You're using your tools, whatever it might be, to tinker, but that tinkering is a different understanding of machines and everything, and to really play that part up is nice.
Yeah, where the spells, it's the exact same effects of casting the spells, but it's flavored where it's not really casting the spell. Where if you cast Cure Wounds, it's more like that morning you prepared a salve, which you could apply to somebody. If you cast Acid Splash, well, that's a cantrip. You don't have to change that. But sure, Acid Splash, okay, that's another vial. That was a bad choice. Firebolt, you have a little device that shoots out a bolt of fire.
Yeah, it leaves you just really wide open to put some flavor into your spell casting beyond waving your hands around and something comes out.
Yeah, if you like to have grease prepared a lot, I'd like to picture that you have like a backpack with this hose off of it, and when you cast it, you pull the lever and you just spread grease everywhere. Jump, you give somebody these really springy boots that like magically adhere to their feet and
Moon shoes.
Boom. Basically, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, our Arcane Eye, like a little floating device that has a little camera in the lens that's invisible. It has like a cloaking device over it, and then you have a little controller that could see through the eye as you move it through the dungeon or whatever.
So a drone.
Crap like that. Yeah, pretty much.
Quadricopter.
Yeah. Yes, basically an invisible quadricopter.
That'd be a little bit of a funny way to do that. Everybody thinks it's magic, but it's just like modern world tech.
That's kind of the flavor in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, basically. I say one of the best part about all this is that it really feels like a new class. The last one, as you kind of said, Will, it's like you pull something out of a bag, and it's like, this could have been a wizard subclass. It's like, oh yeah, you cast spells, but you also pull stuff out of bags, and those.
Do you remember the other one that wasn't the bag guy?
What's
the mechanics of this one? You have a gun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't great, and they did a good job of making the subclasses distinct outside of one likes potions, the other one likes guns. They completely took out the gun subclass, which I don't even remember the name of, and replaced it with just an optional rule that basically says, hey, if you've got guns in your world, then replace this hand crossbow with a pistol and this heavy crossbow with a blunderbuss, like whatever it is. That's not difficult to change up. So, I mean, just overall, I'm pretty happy with the class, I'd say. Maybe we'll find some more issues as we talk more into it. So starting off, I guess, thoughts on the basic overview of it. Like, it's a half caster, good or bad?
Yeah, so it's a tweaked half caster. You get their spell slots earlier, so it's
True.
It's slightly better than the other half casters, which is a little odd. I'm not sure. I guess my guess is probably the only reason they did that is so they had spell casting right away level 1 instead of having to wait to level 2.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I think it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to confuse anybody that they get an extra spell slot.
Right. No.
It's like, oh no, it's broken. And
No, it's not that powerful.
Right. One thing, just reading through it, I didn't get a clear direction on what role they play. Like, if you read through a paladin, it's like, all right, clearly they deal out crazy damage and have some healing. If you read through a bard, they're all about supports and utility. Wizards are customizable. Rogues are about single target damage and stuff like that. The Artificer, I didn't really get a quite a good read. I was, all right, how am I, quote unquote, intended to play this?
I think that's probably a good thing, in my opinion. I felt like there was any way that you went with it, you could do something pretty good. Like, if you want to be more of a support role and helping other people out, you've got your infused magic, where you can just make magic items. You give them to your party, and you're thinking more about what is going to be beneficial to my party. There's different subclasses. One of them allows you to build a little turret that gives temporary HP. So if you're always giving temp HP, you're a support class almost. I mean, it depends on how you want to play it, and I think it gave a lot of good options.
Yeah. So actually, I don't think it's so much how you want to play it. I think the only option is utility and support.
Yeah.
It does not shine in damage at all. I'm not seeing anything here.
You're right. Even
that
the
deals
spells,
heavy damage.
Even the spells themselves.
I don't think there's any outside of cantrips. I don't think there's any damage spells.
In the actual spell list that they have, it's very limited on the damage spells. But once you get into their subclasses, the spells that they automatically get are actually pretty damage based. Especially so there's the two subclasses, the Alchemist and the Artillerist. The Artillerist gets Fireball even it's at 9th level. It's still a half caster, but it gets Thunder Wave, Scorching Ray, Shatter. Those are
sure. All right, the Artillerist. All right, that gets
the Artillerist. It definitely focuses a little bit more on damage, which is good. I think it splits them up really well, and it also does the number one thing that everyone complained about, which is making your companion feel worthwhile. So we, as I said, play tested an Artificer. It was in the much higher levels. One of our players did. And the number one thing we found was they had this companion that didn't scale in health, was just a rhino. Even at 17th level, it got to the point where we're like, just don't bring that along.
Right.
Like, that takes you 8 hours to remake. And I don't think there was any cost to it. It might have been some gold cost. But it just became entirely worthless. You couldn't do anything with it. This actually, one, it levels up, or health-wise, it scales with you.
Which are you talking about?
Both. The alchemic homunculus
Yeah.
is 5 times your level plus your intelligence modifier for health, whereas the artillerist turrets, or whatever they're called.
Arcane turrets,
arcane turrets, those are also 5 times your artificer level. You just don't get the added intelligence modifier to it. So it makes it so they actually have health. As for the damage that they do or the effects that they give, they don't particularly scale up.
No, that's my biggest problem with them. And look, it's just a playtest, so it could obviously be tweaked. It's terrible scaling, really. So it doesn't change until level 14, and at that point you could then bring 2 of them.
And that's for the artillerist.
Yeah, the arcane turrets specifically. So these are stuff you could essentially put out this turret. It's on like crab legs. You can move around and stuff. You could activate it as a bonus action. And there's different things. There's a flamethrower where it'll do a 15-foot cone. Anything in it needs to make a dex save, taking 1d8 damage on a failed save. So when you get this at, what level do you get this at? 3rd.
3.
That's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
At level 10, not so great.
It still doesn't do bad damage because you can use its special ability as a bonus action.
Right.
So that's basically for free.
Right.
With the flamethrower, it increases with your spell save DC. So there's at least that. It scales to a small extent. It's really not much damage. You're right. It's an additional 1d8. But the force ballista, that's 2d8 force damage. And it gives you some battlefield control, I guess, where it forces the enemy to move around or pay attention to that instead of you or one of your companions. So it still fits that support role without becoming extremely overpowering. Even at 14th level, it's good, and it gets some really nice stuff. I like the fortified position. Starting at 4th level, you're a master at conjuring well-defended emplacements. You and your allies have half cover while within 10 feet of the turret, and you get a second turret. So for a very large portion of the battlefield, you can really just impose some additional blockage on ranged attacks. And that counts for ranged spell attacks. That counts for any bow and arrow, whatever type of ranged attack, anything. I mean, that's +2 AC to basically everyone on ranged attacks, plus whatever you get from it, which, once you have 2 of them, you can make one a force ballista, the other one the defender, which gives you temp HP, and everybody at your
10 feet.
Each creature of your choice within 10 feet, it gives it temporary HP equal to 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier every round. So those don't stack. Obviously, temp HP go away once you get new temp HP, but that's still just nice.
Right.
I mean, I don't see any downside to that. Sure, it doesn't scale. Like, once you get to really high levels, sure, you're not going to be completely glancing off blows. It does. It gets worse over time.
Right.
But I think it's good that it gets worse over time because your other abilities start to get a little bit better, and those still stay relevant.
That's true. When I said I'm actually not. I could have swore I remember reading about you could cast 2 of them at level 14, but I'm not actually seeing that anywhere.
Fortified position, the second paragraph. You can also now summon a second turret for free.
Okay. Yeah, and actually also another point is with the turrets, even right away when you get it. So you can summon 1 for free. It must finish a long rest before doing so again, but you could actually that makes it even worse. You could then also summon the turret by expending a spell slot of 1st level or higher. So you get 1 free one, and then any other one you have to use a spell slot for, which is kind of rough.
It's 1st level.
10 minutes for a bonus action like this is not bad.
But then compared to the opportunity cost of the spells you will not be casting.
Let's go with 1st level. What spell won't you be casting?
Cure Wounds.
Cure Wounds? I don't know.
Jump,
I'll
Sanctuary, Shield
take
of Faith,
1d8 plus my intelligence modifier in temp HP every round over Cure Wounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying. It does provide some opportunity cost. As a DM, you have to start thinking about, is it worthwhile to destroy this? Because it is going to make them use some resources compared to just letting it run wild. I mean, at lower levels, the things don't have much health.
Right.
I think their AC... Is their AC determined in here?
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure it's somewhere, but it's 10.
You're going to have to forgive us with that type of... Does it do this? Do we forget that? It's a new class. We're going to...
Yes, very new.
Not as familiar.
But so yeah, I mean, it's got 10 AC. It's really easy to hit.
Right.
18.
Yeah.
What?
18 AC?
Yeah,
AC of 18. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
5 times your Artificer level. Yeah. So I just think it needs some additional scaling beyond. At level 14, you could cast 2 of them.
I think what would be nice, and I don't disagree. I think maybe at like level 10, around there, if it got an additional D8 to the flamethrower damage, to the force ballista,
right,
and maybe to the defender. I guess it needs it as well to scale.
It's still a bonus action.
It's still a bonus action.
But uses a spell slot. I think, or maybe something if you expend a spell slot of 1st level or higher, it gets more powerful based on that or something. Because then if you're looking at, all right, so then you use a 2nd level spell slot. Like
Are you looking at
blur,
spells?
dark vision, enhance ability, enlarge, reduce, heat metal, invisibility, lesser restoration, levitate, magic weapon, protection from poison, rope jerk. Yeah. So
I was sorry, just to completely cut you off. I was really happy with their spell list. Their spell list is like really good for a half caster. I don't think there was many I looked at that I was like, oh, that's totally worthless.
Yeah, well, it's all utility. If you assume when you go to this class looking to play it as support.
Right, exactly, which you should. It's a support class.
Yeah.
They've done a really good job of creating the almost like quote unquote engineer from TF2 style
Yeah.
support guy. Their kit is it's probably the weirdest spell list in the game.
Yeah.
It takes stuff from every spell list in the entire player handbook.
They get one spell. I'm trying to remember what it is that only clerics get. Oh, where is it? Oh, I think it's a cantrip, actually. Spare the Dying. They get Spare the Dying as a cantrip. Only clerics get that, which is just like really odd. It proves again that they're really going for that support role.
The heal log gets it too, but
Yeah, the Celestial Warlock.
Okay. All right. One other. So it's a limited spell, I guess, is the main thing.
they really it is a fresh take on the spell list distribution.
Right.
For sure.
Right. I feel like it's not just a lot of times we look at the spell list and we're like, okay, that's great, but you can really get all of those from this class or this class. I won't say a lot of times, but sometimes we do. I look at this one and I think this is a interesting mix, and all of them are pretty worthwhile in their own right. Say heat metal's really great.
It's not.
What do you mean?
All right. When was the last time we fought somebody wearing metal?
That's just this campaign, but it works a lot of campaigns.
Yeah. It's just this campaign.
If they're holding
it's every campaign
a
when
metal
someone
weapon,
has heat metal. That spell never works.
oh well, you're just bitter. They get Revivify at 3rd level. They get Haste. They get a couple of rituals. Really not a ton, but it is made a point that they can do ritual magic. So of course they get Identify. It's just perfect for them. Detect magic. Alarm, really all the ones, I guess. I don't know. I look at it and I go, yeah, an Artificer should have that. Like, I expect that.
Right.
It's weird. Their spellcasting's also, if I'm not mistaken, cleric-esque, in that you prepare from your list.
Correct.
Right.
And this is the only class I've seen that can really replace the kit of a wizard with their like alarm spells and dealing stuff like that.
No, you're right.
Other
You're
utility.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they get ritual casting from a lot of really good ritual spells.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they were nice enough to add ritual to all the ritual spells in the spell list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, actually, this is in the UA, they even have a spot on multi-classing, which goes to show how confident they are in this, if I'm assuming correctly. Because most of the time they go, hey, this is UA, don't multi-class with this.
Right.
Please don't. But this is like actually kind of, giving you the option for it.
Right.
And some specifications on it. The new spell, Arcane Weapon, just looking at that right now. Any thoughts on that? It's kind of cool, but I don't know if I love it, per se. It's a 1st level spell, concentration, which hurts up to an hour, and you can add 1d6 damage, and you can upcast it 2 spell slots to do a full day of holding it. So in general, you can just...
8 hours.
Correct, 8 hours.
Right.
In general, you just, it's a 1st level spell, bonus action. You do 1d6 damage of your chosen type, and you can change the damage type as a bonus action.
Yeah.
Which that makes
That's
it
nice.
really cool. And I guess kind of flavorful. It could be. I don't have anything in particular.
I think it fits really well with the Artificer.
Yeah.
It's just because their whole thing is they seem to be able to adapt and
Right.
Always have a trick up their sleeve. So they have their own special spell that absolutely no one else gets. And then they could add elemental damage to weapon attacks, and they could change it as needed as a bonus weapon action. So you're fighting a fire-based thing, have it be ice cold damage, and then you're fighting some sort of thunder-based thing, then have it be, I don't know, this isn't Pokemon, they're not weak things to that.
They're weak to ground.
Rock, Kevin.
Sure.
Yeah.
Rock.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, overall, just the spell list is really great. I really like the spell list. That spell itself is pretty good. I don't like the fact that it only lasts an hour and it's concentration.
The concentration is rough.
Yeah, because I mean, there's good concentration spells that they have. I mean, haste is one. There's a bunch of others on there. I'm not going to go through them, but that makes it a very, very difficult choice.
It's also 1d6.
It doesn't.
I don't know. They do get their extra attack though. So that is an interesting take on
Extra.
Did you see the extra attack?
Yeah.
I lie about
Okay.
it? No, I'm
Good.
all right.
Yeah, so the extra attack, you have to have a magical weapon to get the benefit of that at level 5, which I think is really interesting. Again, it just fits them flavor-wise. It also kind of forces you to take one of their, what's the name of it?
Well, no,
Infusions.
Infusions, yes.
this is a great example of that spell makes your weapon a magic weapon.
Yeah, but only for an hour. You're going to be using all of your first level spells, which until you
Well-
get to it takes you to 5th level to get 2nd level spells. It's a while before that becomes
You
good
get
to
4
cast.
spells, man.
Yeah, but you're going to use every single one of your spells, keeping that up. And the second that you break concentration, you've lost your extra attack. That really
Yeah,
hurts.
concentration.
Well, okay,
definitely
that's
is
at
the
5th
bad
level. You don't get that till 5th level anyways.
Yeah.
Um,
One thing I found interesting with the extra attack and all that. So to me, everything I read about this screams ranged class. Use a crossbow.
Yeah.
Use a heavy crossbow.
I would agree.
It fits really well. Or a gun if that's
it's
in your
allowed.
campaign. Those have the loading property. You can't use the extra attack with them without a feat.
Oh.
You can only do 1 attack per turn.
thing. Wait a
And
second,
there's
wait a
nothing
second.
about the extra attack that they get, arcane armament, that makes it sound like they get to ignore the loading ability.
But Kevin,
Yes,
what if they have 2 crossbows?
I mean, that's not entirely wrong.
sure, 2 hand crossbows?
Yeah.
2 heavy crossbows, man.
You can't have 2 heavy crossbows.
Why?
He can. But you would have to drop it.
Yeah.
You'd shoot it, you drop it, you pull out the other one, and you shoot it.
You put a strap on it, man.
Yeah, I guess you could.
This is the one example where I could see an artificer running around with 2 heavy crossbows. Why?
Yeah.
Loading property, dude. Sorry.
It's so infrequently that I run across the loading property. Can you go over the specifications of that again?
It's essentially you can only take one attack per turn with this weapon.
Okay,
Due
if
to
it
how
has
long
loading, even if
Yeah.
you have extra attack,
Right.
whatever else.
But you could take the crossbow expert feat, which lets you ignore the loading
okay.
feature. And then
Okay.
it also you ignore disadvantage if an enemy is within 5 feet, which is really nice. And there's a third feature I forgot. So I mean, it's not a bad feat at all.
Right.
But
What
then
is
it
the
almost
bonus
kind of
action hand crossbow?
what?
The bonus action hand crossbow.
Oh,
class?
yeah. If you make an attack and you have a hand crossbow, you can then take a bonus action to make an attack with your hand crossbow.
Then can you load both of them in one turn?
I assume it. So with loading, it doesn't say like it takes an action or 6 seconds to load it.
just
It
is
just
a
says
property.
you cannot attack with it twice in a turn.
Okay, so you can have your heavy crossbow on a strap, shoot it, pull out your hand crossbow with your object interaction, fire with that for your extra attack, but then next turn you have to use your object interaction to grab your heavy crossbow, and
Yeah.
then you can't also shoot with the hand crossbow afterwards.
Raw, you should be able to, because like I said, it doesn't go into details of what you have to be able to do to load.
You'd have to drop it though.
No.
Yeah, no,
it's not
I'm talking raw.
raw.
Like, if you want to do
Okay.
it like realism, it's like, all right, well, you're dropping it. Obviously, you're not loading that. And I don't see how that works. But it doesn't, the rules don't go into that detail. It just says you
Okay.
can't attack twice in a turn.
This class is mechanical enough that it's a great opportunity to add guns to your campaign that
Yeah.
function like non-loading crossbows or whatever. And then only give them to this character and like a handful of other people.
Yeah.
Not adding them to the campaign so everyone can use them, just the artificer. That's a great mechanical use of that.
I honestly, I've never been in a campaign with guns. Do they all have the loading property? Is it common for them to? Any ideas on that?
Usually,
Depends on the gun.
they're pretty much the exact same stats as crossbows.
Oh, okay.
Pistols are hand crossbows. Blunderbusses or rifles are heavy
Heavy.
crossbows. Yeah, that's about
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I think there's assault rifles in the DMG.
There is. Yeah, they have like grenades and stuff in there too. Not really
Right.
particularly relevant to this.
No.
But it is good to know.
Yeah.
that-
Well, actually, it would make sense for an artificer to have grenades.
It would.
if
It
you
would.
add them to your campaign.
What kind of magic is that? Oh no, it's just a grenade.
All right, specific things. So the very first ability you get, the magical tinkering, I like. It's very flavorful. There's not going to be any beneficial in combat, but pretty much you could touch an object with your tools and kind of tinker with it and add a magical effect to it. Such as sheds light. If you tap it, it replays a recorded message. It could emit like an owner or a sound or anything like that.
yeah, it's a really, really good, long-lasting prestidigitation,
pretty much, yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's a creative player could come up with infinite uses for these types of things.
Yeah. Yeah, cause, they last indefinitely, and you could have up to your intelligence modifier
Right.
with them, and it's like there's no, doesn't really cost to do anything. You just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's probably a lot of cool creative uses, and it's just flavorful. type of thing. You got somebody who's really into role playing and playing up this character. They're going to be constantly doing that stuff. Just
for whatever reason. Like, I'm leaving for the day, so I'm going to leave one of my little stones and let my party know where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's just something dumb like that, where it's like,
Right.
Hey, I've got it. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, it's a good way to pass messages.
Mhm.
And,
Or, you want to prank people. So you take a stone, you make it smell like farts, and you put it in their back pocket. There's so many uses.
The fart rock. I love it. 2 stones, you can make the sound too.
This is a highbrow podcast. Just only the
NPR
most intelligent.
of UA analysis right now.
What I absolutely love is they are the only class that can switch out cantrips.
Oh yeah.
I think at level 10 they get that ability, but they also get it from other stuff. I think it's level 6.
No, you could just switch out cantrips right away. When you gain a level in this class, you can replace one of the Artificer cantrips, with another cantrip from the list.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think that's the case for warlocks, maybe, but their 10th level does differentiate it, where you can now prepare new cantrips.
Okay, what is it specifically?
The right cantrip for the job. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you can replace one of your Artificer cantrips, with another Artificer cantrip,
Okay.
which is a totally new mechanic. And I don't know. I'm like looking at it. There's nothing that's going to break the game. There's nothing that's like blowing my mind. But switching your damage out.
It's just cool. I mean, that's all it comes down to. And they get some...
It'd just be useful. Yeah.
They get some nice cantrips too. Nothing that'll really blow you away, but it's a cantrip. I mean, that's what you expect, right?
Right.
But it's just good stuff. Though I don't know, like I like the fact that you have prestidigitation, but I can't think of a time where you'd ever use that over like your little stone. I guess if you needed to make sparks specifically.
Clean something.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can clean stuff. Darn, if only the stone could also clean stuff, then it would be the perfect replacement for prestidigitation.
Still, they get a few cantrips, and when you can start swapping them, hey,
Yeah, you're going into a tough scenario. Sweet, I'm going to get Spare the Dying today. We're going into a dark cave. I'm going to get Light. Yeah, before it wasn't really necessary, but things that normally you'd pass up because you're like, well, I don't think that offers everyday utility. It's more specific utility. This just ignores it entirely.
Right.
Get whatever you want on that day. A level 10 ability seems a bit high for it. But
well, that's actually that's a good place for ribbon abilities, and this is a little bit of a ribbon ability.
That's fair. So yeah, at 9th level you get your proficiency bonus. There is usually a bit of a lull between like 10th level and 14th level. I notice with classes where it seems like at 14th is when you start to get like the really good stuff.
11's usually considered a big power bump.
Oh, because you get extra attack for the fighter. I don't know off the top of my head.
And I think you
what
get
else
another spell level for full casters.
Okay.
I might be wrong on that. I don't have anything pulled up, but
that's a very specific thought. Nothing on this one. This one is absolutely nothing at 11th level.
Something worth noting though is they're on the higher end of the ability to score improvement.
What
are they?
Receivers. Yeah, they get 5.
4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th. That's what everything is.
Yeah.
No. There's actually a lot of differences. Rogues, I think, get 5. Fighters get 6.
I know fighters get extra.
Rogues get 1 at 10th level as well.
Yeah, that's the extra one.
Yeah.
This is on par with... So fighters get the most, rogues second, then everything else does 4, 8, 12, 16, 19. Every 4 levels. Except for 19. That's just to be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because they don't want that to be your capstone.
Right.
Makes sense. But and also at 19th level, they're like, go ahead, just be as strong as you want. Who cares?
Yeah, that's right.
It's all right.
Yeah. All right. We should probably talk about infusions.
Yeah,
That's they're really big.
Definitely. That's probably the main. It's almost like the Eldritch Invocations for warlocks. It's going to be a very, very big play into how you flavor your specific class.
Right.
Those infusions are very important. So the overall idea behind them is every couple of levels you learn an infusion. You can infuse an item with that specific magic and swap them out on a long rest, I believe.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, it does last indefinitely.
Correct.
Or until, I think if you're incapacitated at the end, I might be wrong on that.
If you find it, you find it.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to look
Yeah, so, you've got a couple of items that you can infuse it in. I think at up to 6th level, it's 2. Then at 6th level, you get a 3rd. 11th level, you get a 4th. 16th, you get a 5th item that you can infuse. So a lot of these things just are basically making a magic item to some extent. One of them literally is making a magic item, but we'll get to that one in a second because that's a huge table.
Right.
But in general, a lot of them require attunement. So you're going to very quickly cap out your own attunement slots, which plays on what I was mentioning much earlier, is that a lot of this just goes to be a support class where you're going to make magic items for your party and figure out who does this magic item suit best and who can I assist the most with it.
Right. Real quick. So it's if you die, the infusion fades after a number of days equal to your intelligence modifier.
Right. Which
That's
is
what it is,
that's
yeah.
not bad.
I don't know. That's kind of, if you die, who gives a shit?
Right.
You're
Well,
dead.
you give it to other people.
I'm glad that they have it in there just because otherwise if you died and lost your character, then does the magic instantly go away? Do you have a couple days with it? Like
Right.
that could be
So you have a
really,
few days, yeah.
really important in the middle of a fight if it went away right away.
Right.
Like you're like, oh, I've got this +1 armor or whatever it is. Other
Yeah.
magic items, and it just instantly loses its ability. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I centered my entire class around that. Whoops.
Right. So then also what happens is, so let's say you die and then are resurrected. Do the infusions stay or do they still fade?
I would say it stays.
Yeah.
What's the point in making it fade away?
Right.
Like, all right. And then
That
the
is
next
kind
day,
of annoying.
yeah, the next day you got to spend your time and reinfuse them. Otherwise, they're going to lose their magic in a couple days. It's like, okay, whatever. It's not a thing really
yeah,
worth
and
bringing
it's
up.
instantaneous to do it.
Yes.
It's not like it takes 8 hours or something. It's just happens.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, the entire thing of it is just giving you some magic items. So first one, Boots of the Winding Path.
I love that one.
Me
I think it's
too.
really unique.
While wearing these boots, a creature can teleport up to 15 feet as a bonus action. I love that. 15-foot teleportation.
Well, to an unoccupied space, and you must have occupied the space at some
Right.
point in your turn.
that
Who
is
else
very
gets
important.
This? This is a thing that's from a subclass, and I can't remember.
I think it was a UA.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it wasn't UA. The Psionic had it. You could
I know the
return to a
Psionic
point.
definitely has
yeah,
it, yeah.
Yep. That
which
sounds
is
right.
the whole other UA class. That's
But that
really
was-
just a big mess. We're not going to talk about.
We're
that.
not. That was 30 feet and was a little over the top. It was like you went somewhere after you did your thing, you teleported to where you started your turn.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah. So a couple of these are just pretty straightforward. Enhanced defense, you get a +1 shield or +1 armor, or +2 at 12th level. So it gets that scaling that is oh so important.
Right.
Then the many-handed pouch is interesting.
Did you guys figure this one out?
Kind of, not really.
I don't even know, man.
What do you mean?
It's a set of pouches,
Right.
2 to 5, that all have the same storage.
Right.
And you can just leave them within 100 miles of each other and everything stores the same thing, but it only has the storage capacity up to a pouch.
Yes. So you know how we have a tendency to kind of gloss over who, like the party gets magic items and they get health potions and all these different things. And we'll kind of screw up and say, who has that? And then we have to like really force ourselves to say, write down, all right, George has these many health potions. And
Wait,
Sally has
who named
these.
their character George?
I did. So no,
Ugh. No, sorry.
I don't know why I didn't use our real characters' names. That would have been an easy thing to do than make up names right here on the spot. But I did it. I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so George has how many health potions?
Yeah.
I immediately
And-
see what you're saying.
Yeah, so we'll lose track of it. We'll screw up. This is luckily, when we play and like I know as the DM, I will kind of be lenient on it, and then you have been, and it just we get kind of lenient on it, but we probably shouldn't be.
We've
probably,
been trying harder.
Yeah.
In like one of the more recent fights, it was like before we went in, it's like, all right, who's got what health potion?
Right.
Who's got what? Like, let's talk about it. But
Right.
you're right. You're
So,
right.
yeah,
Overall, we're pretty lenient.
Yeah, if you
on it.
play it how you're supposed to and are actually strict on that, and everyone has their own inventory they manage, it could really matter. Somebody doesn't have a health potion that really needed one, and vice versa. This takes care of that.
But it only has the storage capacity of a single pouch.
Right, so that's
I
why
don't know
you
how big
fill
that
it up
is.
with health potions and emergency magic items, and
What if you put a bag of holding in the pouch?
ooh,
Isn't that one of those things that like instantly kills dragons or something?
No, because this doesn't have those
But-
same magical properties. that,
it
like-
doesn't. Yeah, there's the thing. If you put a bag of holding in a bag of holding, like the
creates a
world
black hole.
explodes, basically. Yeah, but yeah, this doesn't detail what happens. I don't know if I would allow it.
I feel like
I'm
would.
going to say it's not going to fit. The bag of holding's a pretty big pouch. These
no,
are
you're
not.
Right, you're right. I don't know the exact dimensions of a bag of holding, but I mean, you can squish it up maybe.
Yeah, but the bag of holding has a 2-foot diameter opening. I mean, that's a big pouch.
Right.
Or how about when you reach in to grab the bag of holding, you just get the bag of holding. You can't reach into the bag of holding.
All right.
There you go. So then, yeah, it'd be 2 actions.
I'm just trying to
pull
make-
it out and then, or two.
Just
two
trying to
goes.
break this particular thing.
Yes, I am. I am to an extent. I mean, hey, it's
And that's one thing to notice is, that will come into play more if you've got an artificer on the crew. They can make utility magic items.
Yeah. Yeah, or like in our current campaign, our wizard has spell stones basically where she could charge up spells in them. And technically anyone can use them, but she keeps them on herself. If you had one of these, they're kept in that pouch.
Yeah.
So if anybody needs it, you could do it.
that's pretty worthwhile.
Keep scrolls in there, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it really is. It's a shared inventory of things that are important to everyone. You don't know who's going to need it exactly, and it just takes away that question. I like that a lot.
Right.
Radiant Weapon is a level 8 ability or infusion that they get. It's a +1 bonus to attacks and damage rolls. It sheds some light. You can, as a reaction after being hit by a melee attack, the wielder can cause the attacker to be blinded until the end of the attacker's next turn, based on a Constitution saving throw against your save DC. That's really nice.
Yeah, but you can only do it once per short or long rest.
Correct.
That's where it,
So I mean, it's cool. I guess if you're, can you replace infusions?
yeah, you could switch them out.
Okay, so I mean, if you don't want,
Right.
like, it's better than enhanced weapon until you get to 12th level, and that becomes a +2. In which case, you might just sacrifice the +1 if you think that's really useful. I don't think it's extremely useful, but it's definitely better than just having a +1. It's kind of a limited flavor thing, though. I think what's interesting about a lot of these infusions, or even just the Artificer in general, is it gives you many paths to go down, whereas there's only one of these radiant weapons. I noticed that they said in the description of the UA, like on Wizards of the Coast website, to expect some more UA in the future, and it's probably going to be around the Artificer. I personally really hope it's around infusions. I think that though everyone here is really cool, they could do a much better job of just making more of them. Eldritch Invocations, there's like 30.
And they've added more as we've gone on, so that's a great example.
Right. So I think this is a really good spot for them to just continue expanding on the class until we get to replicate magic item, which is going to be a huge portion of this because you just get a whole table of magic items you can make. And it's great. I mean, we don't have time to go through every single one, but anything that you really could need appears to be on there.
Yeah, there's a lot. It is also limited by level.
Correct.
Too. One thing to note, it's not every time you do it you could pick a new one. It's when you learn an infusion, if you pick replicate magic items, you pick one item from the table, and that's what you can do over and over. So it's not. It's still definitely flexible. It's really cool, but you just need to be careful about that wording because I can see people misinterpreting it as like, all right, I cast this replicate magic item infusion, and I'm going to pick alchemy jug, and then tomorrow I'm going to pick wand of secrets. And,
Right.
Yeah,
You're right. It's a replicate magic items for the alchemy jug. Today I can make an alchemy jug. Tomorrow I can make an alchemy jug.
Right.
So you said you can switch out infusions though?
Yeah. When. Hold on. Hold up. Stupid new classes. Confusing rules.
It's worth noting that the alchemy jug can produce 2 gallons of mayonnaise a day. A lot of people forget that.
I almost gave you guys an alchemy jug.
I love the alchemy jug. I don't think I've given it in other campaigns, I think. Or maybe the Artificer had it when she was playtesting that. She had the
I would have
alchemy jug.
remembered the mayonnaise.
She didn't use it. She should have.
So whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace one of the Artificer infusions you learned with a new one.
Okay, so if you have to wait until a level up, which is pretty
Right.
limited.
Yeah.
That's not an everyday thing. So I mean, the infusion's really cool. I think my only issue is just not enough. I think I'd like to see a lot more infusions here, not just things about crafting magic items, because that's cool. It's very cool. And you could probably stick to just creating magic items and have a pretty interesting class.
Right.
But I want to see things on the other side.
Well, that was
more
the-
weapon effects.
That was the mistake that they made with the original Artificer. Was it essentially just gave you, here's a bunch of magic items, And it was
Yeah.
like, that's A, not flavorful, and B, kind of dull.
Yeah,
Right.
very. Oh, it was extremely dull. There was no flavor reasoning behind it either. There was. It was like, this is a product of your time tinkering, and
Right.
you made a flying broom. Okay, cool. I mean, that's useful, but it didn't feel great. It gave you a list of 10 items every 4 or 5 levels. I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
That you could choose from, and some of them were good, but this lets you say, okay, that one was good, but it no longer is. What can I switch it out for? I don't think you could switch those ones out. One of them was like a handy haversack, which is a good item, but like, I don't know, a lot of campaigns, it seems like you just get that regardless. So in a way, it felt like just denying them that whatever that one was, because it's like, well, you're going to get it for free, so you just go ahead and get it, and I'm not going to give you guys the haversack this time, or the bag of holding. And I want to say, like, oh no, not every single campaign gets a bag of holding for free, but even the Wizards of the Coast official modules seem to always give a bag of holding pretty early on.
Right.
So I would love to hear somebody go against that and say, oh no, we never get that. We always have to inventory manage.
We were really close to that happening in Out of the Abyss.
There were...
I vacillated back and forth on giving you guys the...
I didn't mind the inventory management in the Underdark. I thought it was a really, really cool way to play things.
Yeah, see, I was getting tired of it. As the DM who's not impacted by it, I was finding it tedious.
That's fair.
It got pretty old pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It was a unique challenge at first, and then as you guys started to get your footing and got your gear back, and yeah, it was just,
Once we got like 50 days worth of food and water, and it was like, okay, so can we carry all of this? It just became nowhere near as important.
right.
But that's okay. It was fun.
Yeah.
Really interesting thing to try out.
Yeah. 2 more infusions after the magic item was on. Resistant armor, which is really cool. So you can't do it until 8th level, but you can make an armor resistant to a particular damage type. Like acid, cold, fire, lightning, necrotic, so on. Yeah, elementals.
It's going to get a resounding meh from me.
How's that a meh
That's awesome.
from you?
Because
Everyone's now resistant to the dragon you're fighting. How about that?
yeah, but you can only change that on a level up.
That's not true. Kevin made that
Oh,
up.
no,
No,
the infusion. Sorry. No, okay, you're right. So you can change that on a long rest and say, wait.
So yeah, well, so you when you learn the infusion, you learn resistant armor.
Okay.
Then after your long rest, you infuse a piece of armor, and you could use all your 2 infusion slots to do it if you want.
You could give everyone resistant armor.
Yeah, and then while wearing this armor, creature has a resistance to one of the following damage types, which you choose when you infuse the item.
Okay.
So you could change it after long rest.
Okay. No, that's fine. That actually is pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. You could give everybody in your party this resistant armor, or just +1 armor, or whatever. I mean, it would limit you in a different way. You could also make 5 alchemy jugs, and then you get how many gallons of mayonnaise?
10 gallons
10 gallons
of mayonnaise a day.
a day. Oh my god.
You could totally just sell that for profit.
Yeah. Oh my god. Why is the Artificer even adventuring? How much money could you make with mayonnaise?
I don't know if that's the most efficient use of the alchemy jug.
You're right. Glue is where it's at.
Glue.
I don't think you can make.
It
I
can't
don't
make
know.
glue?
Why would you make glue?
Well, because
What would we do with glue?
you glue stuff. Okay. 4 of them are mayonnaise. 1 of them's glue. It's a
It's a Frank jugs.
yeah.
And then the last infusion, returning weapon, or I don't have it pulled up. I don't remember the name, but
Returning weapon.
Yeah, if you throw you cast on a range, not cast it, you infuse a ranged weapon. It becomes
Actually, it's
a thrown weapon. I'm sorry.
Simple or martial with the thrown property.
Yeah, I meant thrown weapon. Yeah,
It's a thrown weapon, man.
with a +1 bonus to attack. So it becomes +1. And then after you throw it, it immediately returns to your hand. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I mean that's the what's their name? The Eldritch Knight gets something similar to that, but it's a bonus action. It's
Right.
also not limited to the throne property.
Right.
At all. And it's used kind of differently, but you can use it to return something.
This is a good way to get your double attacks.
Right, actually, that's a good
Yeah.
point. If you had 2 thrown weapons, you could use the infusion on both of them, and then just whip, throw them both.
Or
No, just one. It's
Oh,
immediately
you're right.
returns
It's
to your
immediately.
hand. Yeah.
You're right. That's a good point.
and it's magic because of this.
That's pretty good, and that's not at 8th level. That's it. You can get that right away.
Yeah.
They didn't put these in. Oh, I guess it's alphabetical order. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Yeah, that's a really good use for it. What what weapons are thrown that are actually worthwhile?
Javelins.
Yeah,
Javelins.
javelins.
Those are-
tridents, spears. Those are kind of the big ones.
Are
You
any
can
of
also
those-
throw like daggers and hand axes.
Okay, daggers and hand axes can be dex based. I think the javelin is. Are any of those versatile, or are they all
I
strength?
think if it's thrown, it has to be strength. Is that right?
I think it can be either. That's the example of you can do.
Well,
what
for
you
a
want.
finesse, like if you're attacking,
Well, I don't know. It changes a lot.
If
to
you
me.
throw a finesse weapon, is it still finesse?
I don't know. That's a really good question. So if I throw a rapier,
weapon properties. Hold on.
all right, I believe in you.
Yeah, every weapon's a
Throw
thrown
something.
weapon,
Yeah.
technically.
If a weapon has the thrown property, you could throw the weapon to make a ranged attack. Ranged attack, that makes me think dex.
Yep.
Well, no, but it's not.
What?
If the weapon is a melee weapon, you use the same ability modifier for that attack roll and damage roll that you would use for a melee attack with the weapon. For example, if you throw a hand axe, you use your strength, but if you throw a dagger, you can use either strength or dex.
Okay.
There
So
you go.
it needs to have the versatile property. Daggers aren't that great damage wise. 1d4.
But then you can get a javelin as a simple weapon. They have proficiency in all simple weapons, right?
oh, yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of daggers thrown,
Javelin doesn't seem
Javelin.
to fit. I don't like that. That's all I can say.
Why?
spear.
I don't know. It just feels weird. Why would an artificer's main thing be throwing a javelin?
That's why it's its second.
a
I
dart.
think like
That's only
darts.
1d4.
I like darts, daggers, and you mainly use a heavy crossbow.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you shoot with your heavy crossbow, and then your second attack is with the magical dagger. You throw that or the dart, whatever it is.
Okay.
That works really well. It doesn't say it has to be the same weapon, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's a really important
Well, that would
distinction.
actually make no sense because like the second attack has to be magical. Well, if the first one was, obviously. So I think that's the differentiating
One of
factor.
the attacks must be made with a magic weapon. So, I mean, that doesn't matter, but you could throw the dart first and then make a melee attack. Or not a melee attack. Whatever the second attack is. It doesn't
Whatever
matter.
you want, man.
Yeah. And you were saying you don't like the flavor of like a javelin or a spear with the artificer. You could flavor like you have some sort of apparatus attached to them that helps them throw it. Like something on their arm where they kind of like lock it in there and it gives it some extra force when they throw it or something like that.
You're not wrong.
What are those called?
What is it's
Pilas, I think.
Yeah, I don't.
There's
Never heard of
it's you carve a weird groove slot type thing and use that to throw the spears. It was a South American when they were fighting the conquistadors. You could throw them super hard.
I actually think I know what you're talking about.
How do you
but-
spell this?
Pila.
Pila. Pila.
So they make a pila.
Today's snow conditions. Nope.
Well,
I don't think you spelled it right.
We'll go ahead and Google that one later. But that's fine. I mean, I don't disagree. I just feel like a dagger or a dart feels more in line flavor wise.
The advice is also that this should be the second or tertiary ability score should be Dex.
It doesn't say that.
It doesn't say it. It does actually suggest that.
Oh,
It
it
doesn't
does.
say
Quick
has
build.
to be.
Yeah.
But you have saving throws in intelligence and constitution, which are really great saving throws. Well, intelligence, not so much.
It's always
Never mind.
It's 50-50 for almost every single class. It's like one's great, one's a dump.
Yeah, but it just
There's
seems
one where that's not the case.
I think fighters. No, strength also kind of sucks.
Yeah.
strength's not that great.
Yeah,
Dex
the common ones are Constitution, Dex, and Wisdom.
yeah.
Yeah, Condex Wisdom is always the best, but they never combine those.
There's one that does. It might have been the Psionic again.
Classic psionic.
At level 1, you get just everything. The psionic. Go to town, buddy.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of really good. That's what it comes down to is you should flavor why you're making that attack or how you're making that attack, and it again just leaves a lot of options for the player. Like if you want to have a little mechanism on your arm that shoots out a dagger and you just reload it in the back, that's cool. I
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Same with the dart, basically the same thing. You
Yeah.
just, pew, doing the little Iron Man.
Yeah.
Whatever. You guys can see it in your heads,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure they can.
This is a great.
We're not that unique.
This is a perfect class for wrist mounted crossbows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually surprised that they don't have a infusion that's ignoring the loading property. Now that you've mentioned that, I feel like that'd be a really, really good one to have.
You're welcome, D&D staff. for that incredible suggestion that you'll definitely include next month.
We haven't talked much about the subclasses,
No.
and I think those are really going to be worthwhile. So the two ways they have them flavored, we said it earlier, but the Alchemist and the Artillerist. The Alchemist is a lot more potion-based. Not even a lot, but it's a little bit more potion-based. The other one is wand-based, which is a new one.
Yeah.
I don't think of wands as a really...
I wouldn't call it wand based. It's like blast based.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's totally fair.
mechanically it's using that of wands, but I'm guessing I think everyone's strongly encouraged to flavor it otherwise.
That's totally fair.
That's how that was my take.
It's a non-magical piece of wood. That's like what it says in the beginning of it. It's like,
Right.
yeah, you just have like a stick, and that's all it needs
Just
to
a
be.
stick.
So you can be like, well, mine's a metal stick. Cool, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But they are, to an extent, like they have a lot of things that are mirroring each other, which a lot of times classes don't do. Like for example, at level 6, is it? Oh, there's so much to scroll through here. Alchemical Mastery. At 6th level, your command of magical chemicals has become masterful. You get, oh man, there's so much to read here. I don't want to read all that.
While you're contemplating that,
Go for it.
It was Atlotl. Apila, that was the Roman thing. I was reading about Romans beating up barbarians last night. It's an Atlotl that throws spears.
Okay. Do you have a picture of this?
Yes, I do.
Well, we'll have to
Yeah.
include that
See?
somewhere.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's it's a little bit the same mechanic
That's
as
kinda
for
cool.
like a lacrosse, but
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like a lacrosse net, or I don't know. I've never watched or played lacrosse. I don't know
a
what they're
lacrosse
called.
racket.
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
I don't think so at all.
Sports.
None of us went to private school. You can tell.
Alchemical Mastery lets you add your intelligence modifier to damage rolls, or health or damage rolls if it deals
It's
acid or poison damage.
Damage roll, right?
A damage roll, yes. I mean, that one's kind of confusing to an extent because it says one of the rolls. I mean, how many times are you going to have different rolls for it? I guess if like
Scorching Ray.
Melf's... Yeah, okay. I think, is Melf's Acid Arrow, is that multiple attacks?
I don't think so.
Okay, well then that one would just be once.
No, yeah, that's a good point because they don't get Scorching Ray. That's the other class that doesn't
Yes.
get this feature.
Yep.
Oops.
One thing that's cool is they can cast lesser restoration without expending a spell slot once per day. And later on, they get a greater restoration for free.
That reminded me a lot of Paladins, actually, with their lay on hands mechanic.
Yeah.
It was a non-spell casting style free heal. This is a great example of how this is a support class. It's not a heal, it's now lesser restoration, which is quite useful when your party members are blind or paralyzed.
One of those things that really sucks to be.
I actually, in this campaign, I've always had this spell prepared and almost never use it. Because we haven't had a situation where you guys were blind or paralyzed.
That's a restoration.
But if you were, it's like, I always keep it there because like, when it is going to be useful, it's going to be super duper useful.
Yeah, very.
But
But
always having that's nice.
Talking about like how it mirrors at level 6, you get something for your wand ability, where any cantrips you attack with from your wand get a additional bonus to their attack rolls with your intelligence modifier. They just sort of mirror each other in a way that it's silly, but I just don't see many subclasses going that route. Where at that exact level, it has something where it's like very similar.
Right.
I guess maybe I'm overblowing that.
Yeah.
There's like 8th level for the cleric. They get 1d8 for their cantrips or 1d8 for their...
Right. It definitely happens.
Yeah.
And then it's definitely going to mirror between the different subclasses within a class. A like combat mechanical focused ability versus a ribbon ability, stuff like that. But with the mirroring of this at 3rd level, that's when they both get their kind of companions. Yeah,
fair.
they get the alchemist gets the alchemical homunculus, and then the artillerist gets the turrets. We talked about the turrets. The alchemical homunculus I love a lot.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, so
its attack isn't too great. You can go into it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a little tiny mechanical thing. I think it's size category
Tiny.
Yeah. So a lot of flexibility there. What you want it to look like. Its stats and armor and all that's pretty weak. Its hit points is 5 times your cleric level plus intelligence, so that could be decent. But It does have a real light attack with acid spittle. It could shoot acid at people within 30 feet, 1d6 plus 2. But then it gets alchemical salve. 3 times a day, it could apply this to somebody. And it could give them a variant. If you pick one of 3 effects, they could gain a flying speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes.
Advantage on all ability checks? Certain ability checks.
Yeah, the chart. So for an hour, the target chooses the check before or after rolling. The target runs out of number of checks equal to.
Yeah. So basically, you're told make an acrobatics check, and you go, cool. I'm going to use my inspiration on this, and you get advantage on that, and you tally. Okay, I've used that inspiration 1 time.
Right.
The artificer has an intelligence modifier of +3. I can use it 2 more times, and later on again, I can choose.
Yeah. So basically, it's given. So they even call it the same thing. There's the inspiration feature in 5e, which I know we don't use a lot. I keep forgetting about it. I think most people kind of forget about it, but it's supposed to be a really good thing. This is where the DM will give a player inspiration. The idea is if they do something really big or something really good role playing, cool moments, they give them inspiration, and then they could choose to spend the inspiration to re-roll a dice
for what it's worth. I try giving it out, but players never use it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a tendency to hold on. It's like, oh no, it could be really bad, but there might be a better time.
Do you get to choose after you make the roll to use inspiration?
I don't remember.
I'm going to say yes. At my table, that's a yes.
But this, though, so it allows the players to give other players inspiration as a class feature.
Multiple times.
Yeah. Quite a lot of it. And this one is you could do it after you roll. Mm-hmm. So, all right, I really need to make the save. I rolled a 3.
I don't think you can do it for saves, though. I think it's ability checks.
Ability checks.
So that kind of...
okay.
It does put it down.
Yeah.
But still, you've got like a weird mechanical bird flying around giving people ability inspiration.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Or resilience, given 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier of 10 hit points.
Which is all right. I feel like compared to the turrets, I don't like the homunculus as much. It's cool salve, which is the thing that makes it actually interesting, is limited to 3 times a day. Whereas we're talking about the other turret, which is giving you 1d8 temp HP plus your intelligence modifier around to 10
for 10 minutes. That's the big difference.
Yeah, the turret, you get 1 free one for 10 minutes, and then you have to spend spell slots. The homunculus is just always there.
Oh,
and then it could also, do the acid
totally
spell.
Missed that. That's really important. Okay, so
you can have it scout.
Literally lasts for 10 minutes.
Pretty sure it's 10, yeah.
It disappears if it is reduced to 0 HP or after 10 minutes. Okay, never mind. That the homunculus just became a lot more interesting.
Right.
So you've got one thing that is flying around and always using some acid spittle. Which is nice.
Speed.
Man, that could take a lot.
Yeah, you could also do the help action. You could designate it to do the help action as a bonus action. Yeah.
I hate the help action.
Why?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's just a nice little bonus.
But right. This is, if we were talking about this earlier, the weird rhino that we got bored of.
Yeah.
They tried to make you have a ranger companion as an alchemist, and the ranger companion already sucks.
Yeah.
A giant mechanical rhino, while cool, is really just crabby flavor.
Didn't we just call it chubby unicorn?
Yeah, we just called it the chubby unicorn.
That was lazy.
That really was. That was not unique or clever.
No.
Nobody give us any credit for that one.
That reflected how we felt about chubby unicorn. Right? It was a dumb feature.
His name was a metaphor for his class ability, which was garbage.
But this one, you create like a tiny mechanical bird or something like that, which is realistic. Rebuilding a giant friggin' rhino every time it dies, that's like time consuming.
Yeah.
It's like, did you carry the dead rhino or did you just find those parts in the woods?
I do wonder if we missed the size category limitations on that. I can totally see that happening.
It's possible. It
was a while ago.
I think it was a challenge rating thing. That's all I remember. But
I don't know.
It's not important anymore because there's new Artificer.
Right.
And this is great. I love it. You can make whatever weird flying mechanical nonsense you want.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, realizing that it actually lasts all day is really important. So does it take an action as the artillerist to create your turret? Or when does that need to be made? Because that's pretty important.
You could take an action to magically summon a medium turret.
Okay. So really you're kind of expecting to, besides the first time every day, use a first level spell slot at the start of every single combat. Not every single, but most combats you're probably going to pop out a turret. And That's, I mean, really a lot more detrimental at earlier levels when you only have a couple spell slots, but that's fine because they're pretty powerful. 2d8 as a bonus action is a lot of damage at low levels, at third level. So at third level, you've got 3 first level spell slots. You're just, I guess, limiting yourself to an extent on what you're going to use first level spell slots for. You know, you only get up to 4 of those. So unless you want to start upcasting your turret or upcasting your actual first level spells, you're basically going to be reserving those 3 or 4, depending on what level you're at, for the turret. It's a bit of a bummer. I like that a lot less
you do
now.
still get your
Right.
free one.
Right,
You
but
get
that's,
one free turret.
you're right.
How
but
many?
That's one.
Like, think about it. How many combats do we get in a day? Most days, one turret. That's you use your turret every day.
It depends. Our games are not everyone's games. The expectation is you're supposed to have 6 encounters. Are you going to
Every day
every day?
for the rest of your
6
life.
to 8, yeah.
6 to 8. Now, not every encounter has to be combat,
Yeah, just
though.
uses resources.
Right. So, you know, a trap.
trap, yeah.
And this thing's great for scouting. So I'm going to go ahead and send that ahead. And
With a turret or the homunculus?
Because I wouldn't waste a turret on that.
probably not.
I
but
send a walking flamethrower to check for traps. Go on, little guy. Get him.
it actually, I could see some use for that, to be completely honest. Especially if it's something you can't get around, or if you just need it to do damage to something. The thing I'm thinking of is like the complex traps that are in Xanathars. I mean, they're just something you can throw in, but it's detailed in Xanathars, where a lot of times you need to be somewhere dangerous and do damage to something. So yeah, for that, I'd totally waste a turret. If I needed to just be somewhere that I didn't want to be and just line a flamethrower
Yeah.
every action.
Or, force ballista. But
Yeah, whatever it is. That seems pretty reasonable to me. But overall, no, I would not send this at a, like, oh, there's a random
pit trap.
Yeah, there's a pit trap. You're like, go,
Walk
buddy.
into it.
tick, 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 tick.
They have, all right, so this is a little weird. They have 15 feet climb and walk.
Oh, they have
they're
a climb
slow.
speed.
Yes.
Nice.
They're crabs. They're basically crabs with a gun on them.
That's awesome. I want to go.
I'm kind of picturing like the mechs from Scythe, the board game.
Yeah, but a lot tinier.
Yes. Oh, much tinier, yes.
But it leaves you a lot of room for interpretation as to what you want it to look like. I don't think that's specified, but you know, as long as it's got some legs and can climb on the wall, sure, go ahead and make it look like the walking mechs from Scythe. It's good stuff. I really do. I like both of these subclasses. I say that the whole 10 minutes thing changes it a lot. I can't believe I missed that.
It justifies why the two are of different scale.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense. I think that's actually a very balanced approach. And
No, I agree.
Looking at both of these subclasses, it's not one of those situations where I'm like, obviously I would go this. It's, up to what you want to do. I like both of them pretty equally, which is kind of unique for a class. I usually have very strong preferences. This one, they're both pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. One thing that I don't like is at third level, you gain proficiency with something in either of the subclasses. For the Alchemist, it's the Alchemist Supplies and the Herbalism Kit. For the Artillerist, it's the Smith's Tools and Woodcarver's Tools, if you don't already have proficiency in them. I never like things that give you proficiency in tools like that, where it would really make more sense to have it earlier. It feels like at third level, I'm kind of wasting it. Like, I'm starting off, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go down the Alchemist subclass. Of course. I mean, that just fits. I really love it. That's best flavor. And at the very start, it's like, okay, great. Now you're proficient in Alchemist Supplies. It's like, well, I started with that because that's what I wanted to do.
You kind of have to metagame it. Saucy, the character, ended up a little bit weird, and I did kind of like metagame it in my head while setting it up. But I think I've got 4 proficiencies
in tools. Stoneworkers, smiths,
definitely alchemy.
It's also
maybe
being a
it's
forge
3.
cleric, by the way.
Yeah,
Forge
so
cleric, yeah.
the dwarves get it, and the forge clerics get it, and then his background got it, and there's overlap, and I had to like.
You have to metagame it.
Well, as a dwarf, I would have grown up with smith's tools, but as a forge cleric, I get smith's tools. So my childhood, I was in a brewery.
Right.
It doesn't matter, but you want to avoid those overlaps. So I think in your head, you would think, all right, I'm going to wait till third level to get that.
Which is why I'm saying I hate that. Like,
I don't hate that. I just don't like it.
Right. It feels metagamey, and I feel like I would just kind of ignore it probably a lot of times and just be like, all right, whatever. It's just I've already had alchemist supplies. I just ignore it. It's fine. I don't want to repeat it. Though I'm surprised they didn't do like you double your proficiency bonus with it. I like that approach, where if you gain the proficiency a second time, okay, that's fine. You get your proficiency bonus twice. Now it doesn't feel like a waste, and it feels like you're even better at
Look
this
at
than
the
the normal
root
person.
third level tool expertise. That you basically get that.
Is that what? Wait, which one's that?
It's third level for all. What are they called?
Artificer.
What class are we doing?
Alchemist.
Tool expertise. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses your proficiency with a tool. All right. So yeah, you have to metagame it. I don't like that because you're already getting that, which is good. That's great tool expertise and fits the artificers really well. But now, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can get alchemist right out the gate because you do get some other tool proficiencies. There's the tools required. You produce an artificer. No, that's for your spell casting. Proficiencies, those are early on here. Tools, thieves' tools, tinkerers' tools, one type of artisan's tools of your choice. So I'm assuming like alchemy or alchemist tools fall under that umbrella. So
basically.
as you said, you kind of have to metagame it where you're saying, well, okay, I'm going to take stone cutter's tools or brewery's tools, whatever, brewer's tools, because I know at third level I'm going to get the two tools that I actually want to use and use to do my spell casting. It just feels silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a small thing. It really is.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about their two higher level abilities, the 18th and 20th.
Okay.
So this is not subclass specific. At 18th level to get spell storing item. So whenever you finish a long rest, you could touch one simpler martial weapon or an item that you could use for spellcasting focus and store a spell in it, choosing a first or second level spell from the Artificer list. You don't have to have it prepared. That requires one action to cast. Then when the object is in hand, a creature, so you could hand this to someone else, any creature can use an action to produce the spell's effect, and then it uses the Artificer's spellcasting ability for it. And then the spell stays in the object until it has been used a number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier. So you can put a second level spell in there, and if you're at level 18, you probably have +5 to intelligence. You get 10 free casts of this, and other people could also do it. So it's like 10 free second level cure wounds, or well, I don't know. It doesn't really say if you get upcast or not, but
Where are you getting 10 from?
twice your intelligence modifier. So if you're at level 18, decent chance you're going to have +5.
Oh, no, you're totally right. Wow, that's really good.
Yeah,
10 scorching rays. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
second. No, it says from the Artificer spell list. But that's not. That's not the Artificer spell list. That's the Artillerist.
No, you're
spell,
right.
yeah.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah, looking at that, I was thinking that's way too much damage just to like let out in the world.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
the cure wounds, though, that would be a really great use for this. 10 free cure wounds.
That doesn't explain
yeah.
if it can be upcast.
I don't know. But even still, 10 free. So that's 10d8 healing for free.
Yeah.
That's
No,
pretty nice.
I agree. That's really nice. I feel like you'd have
Plus
to
your intelligence, yeah.
allow that. 10 free heat metals.
you'll never use those ever.
10 free false life. You get a bunch of temp hit points. I don't remember the specifics of that one, though.
Yeah. I mean, blur is a good one.
Right.
I don't know if you're going to need that 10 times.
Yeah, invisibility.
That's good. That's really good.
This is an
actually.
item that would, whatever you do this on, would actually go great in those pouches.
Yeah. No, you're totally
yeah.
right. You're totally right. Throw it in there. Now everybody has access to 10 blurs. Hey,
So,
we all
yeah,
got blur.
That was a great catch on your part. We only have ever had this real problem with potions, but when you add an alchemist or an artificer to the mix, you're gonna have more magic items floating out there, just flat out.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
it's good to, especially the ones that don't require attunement. Only the ones that don't require attunement. It's really useful for everyone to just have quick access to it.
Right.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah. And then there's the level 20, their capstone, Soul of Artifice. So your attunements goes up to 6 magic items. And then in addition, you gain +1 bonus to all saving throws per magic item when you're currently attuned to. So you could get +6 across the board to all saving throws.
Yeah. The only
That's
thing
pretty cool.
the only thing I don't like about this in the last Artificer UA, the amount of things you could attune to scaled with your level. Starting at 3, everybody gets 3. Then at a later level it was 4, later level it was 5, and then it was 6, and I think had that same capstone. Or it might have just been spread throughout. But I like that as a capstone. That's good.
Right.
But just doubling your magic items at 20 seems like you've used all of your infused items. How many infused items do you get? You
At
get
that
up
point.
to 5. So you get up to 5. You've got 3 on you, maybe 2. It doesn't particularly matter. And you've got them spread out amongst the rest of your party. And then at level 20, you're like, hey, mine.
Right.
Mine. I want that one back. I want that one back. Put them all on me.
I think
Screw
the
all of you.
idea was you'd eventually have your own magical items at that point.
Yeah.
That
That is the idea, I'm sure.
I think the reason it scaled the way it did in the original one was the idea was the Artificer used their own magic items exclusively.
Right.
This class clearly is targeting a hand them out kind of approach,
No, that's true. That's very
which
true.
I vastly prefer. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think you should build a class on having items.
No, I totally agree there. It is a really, really good capstone, though, and your saving throws are going to be pretty ludicrous. I mean, with a proficiency bonus of +6, if your intelligence is +5, that's already a +11 to your saving throw. You're attuned to 6 magic items. That's a +17 for your intelligence saving throw.
Make a con save. No, I'm probably good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's not the best capstone. It's not the worst capstone.
Yeah.
It's just pretty good.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like the Druid capstone, but it's infinite wild shapes. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
It's definitely, especially compared to like the Ranger or.
Hey, the Ranger lets you
the
do 1d6
sorcerer.
extra damage, man.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe a d8.
It gets up to D8 when you're at level 25. Only Rangers can level to 25 because the gods felt bad.
Oh boy, do they need it.
Or is it just the wisdom modifiers added to damage?
I don't know. It's
Not good.
No.
just going to keep yelling about it. I also like how it introduces crafting in a way that is normally just not touched or really a class focus by making, depending on the subclass you take, for the alchemist, your crafting of a potion takes a quarter of the normal time and half as much gold. Whereas usually the idea of making a health potion is absolutely ridiculous. It's like 2 weeks of downtime and the cost of it, so like 50 gold, and that's just a regular health potion. Now we're talking it's a couple of days, so every 3 or 4 days. I'm totally making these numbers up, so they might be off. And again, half the cost. It's just a lot more worthwhile. I could see getting a really big potion repertoire. The main thing you're going to run into is using that pouch. You got to kind of limit how much fits in there. You really need to say like, no, you can put 5 things in there. You can put 3 potions and 2 of your items in there. Because otherwise you're just going to keep making stuff. If it's a month of travel, boom, now I've got a bunch of potions.
Right. With the pouch, I get the impression somewhere, like maybe in the DMG or somewhere in the player handbook in the equipment area, it lists what it considers a sack. I'm doing air quotes here because it's how it phrases it. Or a pouch, yeah. You and the infused pouches all share one interdimensional space of the same capacity of a single pouch.
Yes.
That phrasing makes me think somewhere out there's a description of how much a pouch holds. So.
I totally agree. And I'm just saying that definitely needs to be paid attention to, because otherwise it's going to get it really out of hand. And I could see people just ignoring that if they're really not paying attention.
Right.
It is worth remembering this is not giving your entire party bag of holdings that are all connected.
Yeah.
This is not a bag of holding. It's a pouch of many hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless even bags of holding have limitations.
Yes.
They have the 2-foot opening if something's bigger than wider and has any dimension bigger than 2 feet. Well, actually, that's not true. If it's like 2 feet, 3 feet long and 6 inches wide, it could go in there. But
right, you can put a sword in there.
Yeah. It's the opening is 2 feet, so it needs to be able to fit in that. And then that also even has weight limits and stuff like that.
We have a verdict. 1/5 of a cubic foot.
Oh, so helpful. How many fifths of cubic feet does a healing potion take up?
How many? All right, we do have units that might be more helpful. How many sling bullets is a potion?
How many sling bullets can you fit in a pouch?
20.
Oh God,
That's now like reading that, I'm like,
that's like
I
a
guess-
potion.
I mean, you can also put 50 needles in it.
I mean, a potion can be a vial. I don't know. I feel like every time I think of potions, I don't know about you guys, I think of like the big beakers with a stopper on it. Or it's like a big bulbous one at the bottom. Like a lot of times
The video game style.
Yeah, video game style potions. Thank you. I think a lot of times it's just described as a vial.
Why does it take an action then? I think a 40 ounce, man.
Yeah, a vial makes more sense for drinking it in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe 1 or 2. I'm not going to be extremely lenient on that. 20
I don't know.
bullets. That's
Wait,
tiny.
you're saying 20 bullets is what would fit in a vial of a potion?
No, in a pouch. That's what fits in a pouch.
So let's say, all right.
Oh.
So let's say that's tiny, like test tube style vials.
Yeah.
I'd say there's like 4. Let's say 4 sling bullets. It's about the same diameter as a sling bullet.
Yeah, if you have to
Stack
stack,
them
them
up
up
there.
Yeah.
All right. So what's that? That's 5 healing potions you can put in there.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah, I would-
easily
yeah.
put your magic rock thing in there. Whenever
Right.
you infuse this stuff, it's like, oh,
But you're not going to put
Infuse
And
magic
then
items
you
in
shake
there.
it too hard, and the magic rock breaks all the hope potions. And
you're probably looking at what you can make. Maybe not. Maybe the goggles of night. Maybe
Maybe, but just 1. That's it. And maybe a health potion on top of it.
sending stones. Those are just rocks.
Yeah. Things that you're not really expecting to be passing around. So, I mean, that's
you,
fine.
Yeah, you could also have more than one, like pouch like that. You can
You
use
can.
your
You're
infusion
sacrificing
slots
a
for
lot
it, yeah.
for that. But yeah, you're right. You can.
Having multiple series of many-handed pouches seems a little overkill.
Yeah.
Just color code them.
Oh no, I reached into the wrong one.
You color code them.
Okay.
Come on.
In the red one, we're putting acid vials. In the green one, we put health potions. Shouldn't we
Just
switch
remember,
that?
guys, opposite.
Opposite.
Opposites. I'll remember.
Iceland, Greenland. What?
Have to roll an intelligence check every time you reach in. Just chug it immediately. You take 13 acid damage to the throat. Ouch.
Is there any rated mechanics for what happens if you drink a vial of acid?
No.
I think that's
you
on
just-
the DM.
I don't think it would work out well.
You
There's
just get
no such
indigestion.
thing as targeted damage in D&D, but if you self-target and like, it's obviously going to hit you in the throat. It's not making an attack roll. You just chugged a vial of acid.
I somehow missed.
Oh, it can burn your skin off, but it's fine. You just drink it. You only took 1d4. You'll be fine. It's not like your esophagus is no longer connected to your mouth.
So on the other side with the artillerist, you can craft wands in
Right.
quarter of the time, half as much cost. I've never once looked into the crafting of wands, to be completely honest. I'm assuming it's expensive and takes a while because
Yeah.
they can be really powerful.
Yeah, there's some really cool wands out there.
But that is really useful.
Yeah. Like, isn't there a wand of fireball?
yeah. I mean, there's.
Wand of everything.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's. I guess I don't know. Are we talking like you can? I really need to look into the crafting of wands. Is it with a spell that you have? Is it just a wand that you know? Do you need a recipe? Like
Wait, where? All right, where does it say you can craft wands?
in Artillerist, the tools of the trade under crafting. It's the like 3rd or 4th paragraph. If you craft a magic item in the wand category, it takes you a quarter of the normal time, and it costs you half as much of the usual gold. So it has to be a wand. That's it. So I'd have to look up the rules on crafting a wand because I honestly don't know that.
Yeah, I've never. They're just magic items.
They're just magic items. It just has to be a
Right.
wand one. I mean, magic items take a while to craft, if I remember correctly.
long.
But a
long
quarter
time.
of the time is really different.
It's still going to be like 2 months.
Yep. Yep.
All right, that's not actually bad for something worth thousands of gold.
Right.
Right. Especially then, like a lot of campaigns have traveling. Get a cart. The artificer gets to.
Sit in the back
Yep.
whittling.
Yep. Doing whatever this they do. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, the downtime getting free stuff, that is very much mechanically we usually ignore it, but it's an Adventure League thing. Your quest reward is downtime.
Right. And you should be doing something with that downtime.
So you buy stuff with downtime in the official Adventure Leagues. As non-Adventure League players, less of an effect for us.
Right.
But the DM, I think, would be wise to let the Artificer do some of these things that they might not be doing in other campaigns.
Right. Which, I mean, to an extent makes time-sensitive campaigns a little... could be potentially frustrating as an artificer, but like not a big deal. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to play an artificer. I don't get all the downtime I'd normally get. It's not that big of a deal, man. You calm down. But it's cool. I mean, it definitely makes people look into crafting and opens up some doors. Also, its wand is awesome because you can put a cantrip in there of your choice, and it gets plus to damage and attack rolls, I think. Any damage roll, just a damage roll, gets your intelligence modifier. And at 14th level, you get 2 cantrips in there. So you get a lot of cantrips, which they have good cantrips. So that's nice.
Yeah,
Put all your damage ones in there.
They do have, there's elements of the blaster in this one. So it is a utility class, but you will not be sitting around waiting to help people all the time. You can do your damage.
Right. Like, I mean, they get Ice Storm and Wall of Fire. They get really good spells.
Yeah, both the spell list is great, but very light on damage. But the subclasses both really did kind of shine with the damage hurting spells coming with each of those classes.
Which one's the Alchemist Melf's Acid Arrow?
No, that one's garbage.
Okay, well then they don't the
Cloud Kill, Blight, stuff like that. It's kind of cool. They're much less so.
Yeah. I mean, Ray of Sickness is pretty okay. Is that do damage or is that
I think it just makes you sick, man.
okay? Well, being 6 never hurt anybody.
Like killed like 30% of the people
I think you
who've
get
ever
the
died.
poison condition. That's
what I thought.
I don't have my
so
spell list up, but
that's fine. Alchemist, the Alchemist subclass is a lot more utility based,
Definitely.
whereas the Artillerist, it's such a weird word to say, is more damage based. That's good. That's a good way to play it. One's going pure into that support role. The other one is really good at support, but also going to be mostly damage.
Yeah, Ray of Sickness 2d8 plus poison condition on fail.
Oh, that's really good. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Forever. End of your next turn. World's shortest hangover.
I think we've gone through everything.
Oh, don't say that. Don't put bold statements like that out.
You're
We
okay.
clear them. I
You're right. We
there's
did
the
not go
whole
through
thing about
absolutely everything.
spellcasting focuses, and I didn't want to bring that up, but 'cause it's a little, I don't know. It's
What do you mean the spellcasting? No, you got to bring it up now. Sorry.
so pretty much every class needs a spellcasting focus of some kind to cast
Right.
spells. The artificers, their default one is it needs to be a tool that they're proficient in, like a thieves' tool or alchemist supplies or something like that.
Right.
The idea being they're using these to create little mechanical effects to pre-produce these spells. So that's somewhat limiting. Like if we're talking about like dual wielding hand crossbows, or you have your heavy crossbow on a sling and you drop it and pull out a dagger, it's like that's hard to kind of justify. You're going to have these tools out to cast your spells as well.
That's fair.
So that's a little limited. But once you get your infusions, any item that has your infusion can also count as a spellcasting ability, or sorry, a spellcasting focus.
okay.
So that could get around it, but it's like it's somewhat a little bit of a handicap, or you'll probably want to make sure you have something that you have infused in
this
your
just
hands.
makes me think of a wrist mount more and more. Like a little thing that you like pull out your tinkerer's tools and you like play around with your wristwatch, and then flamethrower comes out. Like
Right.
whatever it is that really fits.
Your weirdly flavored Pip-Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
I was thinking more of the TF2, the T-Forge 2 spy, their watch. They turn
Yeah.
invisible.
Oh,
or
yeah.
shock. Yeah.
Yeah, but like having something. It could be a little box that you just carry around and you're like, ah, yes, this is my magic box. And people are like, what does that do? And then you poke it with your tinkerer's tools and a salve comes out that heals them. You guys all
What?
thought it was going to hurt them. What, you thought it was
You're
going
just
to hurt them?
carrying a box? Like, what's in the box? And it's like, whatever I poke it with, that determines it.
Yeah,
It's like poking a hole. It's like flames. Poking a hole. Oh,
Yeah.
cure wounds.
yeah,
This one's full of bees.
yeah. Honestly, it's
What's
like,
actually in the box, though? That'll be the mystery for the campaign.
it reminds
it
me.
has no lid, hinges, and it sounds like it's solid.
A secret string.
It reminds me of the Hag's Weird Magic that
Okay.
we just talked about the other day.
Yeah.
Where it's like casting in a way that is not waving your hands around and saying some tomes and things happen. It's like you've got these weird prepared things, and when you do this series of events, it happens. So it just allows the player to really come up with some fun ways to talk about how they cast their spells, which I would recommend everyone do. If you got spells, think of ways to cast them as like a flavor wise, because that makes it a lot cooler.
Yeah, the
don't
DM
do
is going to definitely have to put in some legwork to make this fun.
I don't think the DM should do it. I
don't
think
know, man.
that the person should say, I want to cast my Cure Wound, or whatever. What's one that does damage? My Melf's Acid Arrow. And you're like, all right, go ahead and cast it. You roll, you see your damage, and then you let the person say, I'm going to poke my box, and a little arrow pops out with a little door and then shoots out.
The box is not good.
Yeah,
man.
the box is a weird one.
I'm just, guys,
I'm just saying.
why do you nitpick over the tiny details?
There's not a
This is
tiny
what we
detail.
do
Like
here.
the core aspect of the box is what I'm disagreeing with.
Why?
I don't know. It's just dumb.
What do you want it to be?
You have all these different devices, and when you prepare your spells in the morning, you break down old ones and use those components to build the new devices.
Okay, just
how do you
break all the components down into a box. My point is the box is a placeholder for what the actual object is. You guys just get hung up on the stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this, I could see a player doing it. Like, I don't want to come up with that shit. I just want to be an artificer. I shoot an acid arrow out of the box.
That's fine.
No, come up with fun stuff. D&D's supposed to be fun, guys.
It is. Just silence. Silence and stares.
It's supposed to be.
It used to be fun.
Oh, no, it's just tedium.
I really like this class. I'm really happy with it. I think there's the things that they can change are extremely limited, just compared to the last Artificer, where I felt like all we had was criticisms. This one feels really well fleshed out. I think they took their time and it shows.
For sure.
So
I think that's an episode.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. But the issue is, who's going to kill their character, you or me, so that they can play an
It's
Artificer?
not going to be me, because enhanced defense on that armor, another +2 to Saucy's AC. That's 24, Kevin.
Ooh, all
you
right.
hit me ever, I'm going to be just mad. I'm going to go home.
Maybe we should make Travok. Well, let's kill off
Let's
Travok.
kill Travis.
Yeah.
Now you have. Why do you have to be an armor? Because I want 24 AC, bud.
Hey, could I also get a +2 to my armor? You can do it twice, man.
Shield. Oh, wow, that'd be annoying. You could do it twice.
So if we want to make this a 2-hour-long podcast, we could jump into races and how they fit with different feats.
What is this
multi-classing?
Oh, we do have to go multi-class. I'll just say one thing.
Yeah, we didn't have to talk about multi-classing.
It doesn't really jive that well, because a lot of stuff is very limited to, this has to be an artificer spell.
Yeah.
I think they designed this class in a way that it's limited to its own little subclass and doesn't really jive well with others.
I think when they officially release it and we have to go through and multi-class this with everything, we're going to have a hard time. But it's going to be fun.
Unless they completely redo it again, then I'm just going to be mad.
Yeah, you know what? The overall response is really positive, but we're throwing it out. That's just dumb. We're done.
In terms of multi-class, flavor-wise, I can see it fitting really well. It's just like you have a fighter who has this kind of inventive side to him.
With non-spellcasters?
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Wizard, I could fit with well. They
Kind
actually
of.
almost fill somewhat of a same role of that kind of toolbox
Yeah.
type thing, quite literally in one sense and then metaphorically.
Yeah,
with
seeing as they have a
magic.
box.
Yeah.
A box.
This box is full of tools. This box is full of magic. Huh?
This one's full of paper. Yeah, that's my spell book. It's just a box full of paper.
Spellbooks are just boxes full of spells. That's the hottest.
It'll be
take of
tough.
the day.
I think it'll
Yeah.
be depending, but
Yeah.
with a fighter with non
I think like
spellcasters.
just about any martial class could probably get some decent mileage out of it. Like if you're mainly a fighter and dip into Artificer for like 3 levels or something, or 4 to get the ability score improvement, but
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's obviously none of us looked into this in great detail, so
No,
none of
that's
this
a
is
lot to look into.
official monsters and multi-class stance on any of it. We're just kind of spitballing here, but yeah, if this ever gets released, I'm sure we'll start doing episodes where the Artificer multi-class with, like we do with the other stuff.
And then we'll have official stances.
Yeah. Yeah. Which leads me into, if you are listening to this, if you got sucked in by the Artificer and you've never listened to us before, this is kind of the crap we do every week. Every Thursday we have a new episode. We're D&D discussion podcast. Each one's about an hour. Right now we use 2 segments to facilitate conversation. We will randomize a multi-class combination and discuss it in depth, and then we come to the table of a monster of the week and talk about how to fight it, how to play it, why we like it, why we don't like it, so on. So if you enjoyed this, it's really more of the same, just not on the Artificer. Also, Jared, you are now allowed to talk about the Artificer on Twitter.
Woohoo!
So,
Kevin
you don't
banned
need
me.
to spoil- yeah.
This was the first time I was allowed to talk about the Artificer. It's been 2 days,
Yeah.
and my girlfriend's tired of hearing about it. So.
Yeah, you can find also, let us know your thoughts on the Artificer. If you think we missed anything or just your own thoughts, you can find us on Twitter at monsters_multi.
MULTI.
Yeah.
Don't forget the I.
Or just Google us. It shows up Monsters and Multiclass.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Yep. And we'll be back this Thursday with a regular episode. This is just a bonus. It's not replacing anything. So
Yeah. And if
you're welcome.
yeah, and if you're that weird person who's still sticking around, or as we always say, the person who's in traffic and can't change their station. Hi. How are you doing?
See you next week.